this as an opening. It's going out to May because I was thinking about this. I was thinking about the response to your video. And I have not read The Bluest Eye in about 15 years or so, right? I first read it and listened to it during the Cows, which is the Context of White Supremacy. Yes, they did I think it was like a 2-week thing where he actually read the book online, a book over the air. So I read it along with him, and I listened to it, and I re-listened to it, and I read it to make sure that I got the context of the book. So it's been about 15 years. When I said something about what the book was about, and then you disagreed with it, so I had to go back and look at the book. So what I have here is the PDF of the book. Not a Cliff Notes, not whatever it is. I actually read the book. I'd never take the Cliff Notes over unless I just need a quick overview to see if the book is worthwhile to read. It's the only time I look at Cliff Notes, or the only time I look at any kind of shortcut, because I want to make sure that the book is worth my time to actually go through and read. That's always been me. What I thought about it and what I saw about it, even with the Cliff Notes, with the other studies that people have gone through it, the book is exactly what I said it was. And then getting the PDF and looking at Toni Morrison's foreword, she says exactly the same thing that I said about it. Now, I expanded upon it, but basically the same premise that she saw in Black girls, which is the reason that she wrote the book, is pretty much what I said about what the book was about. What about the difference between white girls and Black girls? It wasn't about a conflict between white girls and Black girls. And this is coming from the woman that wrote the book. So I was wondering, I said, where did she get this conflict between white women and Black women? There's no way I could have read the whole book and not notice the conflict between white women and Black women. This is all an internal struggle about Black beauty and class and all this kind of other kind of crap that goes on, still goes on inside the Black community. But before I even dive into that, what I want to say is this, and this is from the heart. I'm a born analyst. I was born that way. That's the way my mind works. That's the way I always see the world. I am a why person, and sometimes it gets on people's freaking nerves. It got on my parents' nerves when I was small. I'm a why person. And as a kid, the oldest of 5, raised by basically sharecroppers that never finished high school, a why kid will get on a parent's last nerves. When you have a high IQ kid that's a why person, and you get on your parents' nerves, you get tired of getting hit, okay? That's why I learned to keep my mouth shut. But I also learned to not think of my intellect as a flex, because my family was not a flex. A good way to get your ass beat for being a smart ass. So this is what I'm going to say. Intellect is a gift. Intellect is not a flex, not supposed to be a flex. Intellect was given to people in the tribe so they could add to the tribe and lead the tribe and make the tribe progress, not to lord over people. Like, I respect the PhDs in my space because their intellect is a gift. They see their intellect as a gift to be shared with people, not to be lorded over. And the people that lord over their accomplishments and flex and use it like I am better than you, I'm not around those people. I'm not around those people. I don't like being around those people. I don't like people that are smarter than other people bullying people that are less or not as smart as them. I've always been that way. That's why unless I am pushed, I don't impose it upon other people. And intellect, it being a gift, it's also a burden and a responsibility. If you are intellectually trained and smarter, then you should be a student to the truth. Now, what you said as far as your synopsis was intellectually, in my opinion, intellectually lazy. Could have read the foreword of the book to actually see what the book was actually about. It was in the first couple of pages, which I'm getting ready to read. That's how come for the most part on YouTube, I do not like engaging with intellectually dishonest people. I really don't. Sometimes I go back and forth, but the thing is, at some point, you have to do the work. You got to be smarter than this. You have to be intellectually curious. Otherwise, I have a difficult time being around people that are intellectually dishonest and intellectually curious because they want to be right. Got time for that. You want to be right, you can go over in your corner, wherever you are, and be right. I'm not here to argue about who's right or wrong. That does nothing for me. The thing is, what is the truth? Are you looking at the truth? Is this truth the correct version of the truth? And if it's not, then let's go find it. If we can't go find it, then there ain't no sense in talking to you. I'm not trying to prove who's right or wrong. And we keep going back and forth about PhDs. How come you didn't get it? My God, I've talked to you. Just one thing I can say about what you did, you brought out about 25 PhDs that are lurking in my in my chat that have come out and actually said, I got a PhD, this, that, and the third, right? At least that's what you did. But the thing is, I got 25 people that are saying that what you said about the process is completely wrong. 25. And about 5 or 6 of them I actually know personally that would disagree with you. Got 2 daughters, one's got a bachelor's, one's got a master's. They went through the process. I would tell you that what you're doing is wrong. My daughter said, they asked, how did you get your master's? She said, all you got to do is read the freaking book, for the most part. Anyhow, let's get to this because I don't want to make this too long because we're already 8 minutes in. And I don't want to make this an hour because it's unnecessary. I don't like making crap like this an hour unless I am teaching. I'm not that long-winded. As you can see, this is Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. This is a PDF. OpenPDF.com. And see the title and the dedication, all this kind of stuff, right? And this is her foreword. I'm not going to read the whole foreword, right? You can read it for yourself. It's kind of long, but this is what she said. And you could have read this for yourself. The origin of the novel lay in a conversation I had with a childhood friend. We had just started elementary school. She said she wanted blue eyes. I looked around to picture her with them and was violently repelled by what I imagined she would look like if she had her wish. The sorrow in her voice seemed to call for sympathy. I faked it for her, but astonished by the desecration she proposed, I got mad at her instead. In fact, I think there was a section of the book talking about Barbie dolls, where I think a character destroyed a Barbie doll that had blue eyes because she hated the idea of it. Until that moment, I had seen the pretty, lovely, the nice, the ugly, and although I had certainly used the word beautiful, I had never experienced its shock, the force of which was equaled by the knowledge that no one recognized it, not even or especially the one who possessed it. That's true. Beautiful people really don't think of themselves as beautiful for the most part. The Bluest Eye was my effort to say something about that, to say something about why she had not, or possibly ever would have, the experience of what she possessed and what she prayed for so radical an alteration. Implicit in her desire was a racial self-loathing. There's a lot of women that talk about colorism and features, and they mask it as self-empowerment, and it's actually self-loathing that they're masking. And 20 years later, I was still wondering about how one learns that. Who told her? Who made her feel that it was better to be a freak than what she was? Who had looked at her and found her so wanting, so small a weight on the beauty scale? The novel pecks away at the gaze that condemned her. And most of the gaze is not the men. Most of the gaze is not the men. One of the sections of the book that kind of jumped out at me was when a mixed girl came to their school And I think the little girl had light eyes, I think like greenish eyes, or maybe I forget what color the eyes actually were. I had to go back and look at it, right? But she was mixed. And then the boys because she was mixed and she was different, the boys took a liking to her. And the black girls in the school got mad. They bullied her. Because, not because, partly because the boys liked her, but also she possessed something that they did not. And all of this self-loathing, this myth of white womanhood, which also her mother, who worked for the white people and had to take care of the little girl, look after the little girl while the parents were at work. Pacola's mother also had the same kind of self-loathing and projected that white is better. Where did she learn this? She learned this from her environment. Okay. I think in the novel they blamed it on a little boy that called Pacola ugly. And they tried to make, I think they tried to make it like the other little girls try to boost Pacola's ideal up, right? The thing is, we know in real life that's bullshit. Okay? The biggest people that talk about colorism and texturism, hairism, and featureism is not the men. In fact, Charles Faulkner said the very same thing that most black guys in this sector say. Black men are the trash men of the dating world. We accept almost any kind of body shape, skin type, hair color, all hair texture on the planet. So much so that all the other women on the planet think that black men will take a woman that's overweight, underweight, ugly, any kind of hair, any kind of eyes, any kind of attitude. To say that black men perpetuate this in women is bullshit. This is actually perpetuated by women. And that's when I knew, when you pulled out the novel, The Bluest Eye, especially when it was in regards to Maggie, saying that it was against the conflict between white women and black women, I knew that it was bullshit. Because the author says that's not true. The reclamation of racial beauty in the 60s stirred these thoughts, made me think about the necessity for the claim. Why, although reviled by others, could this beauty not be taken for granted within the community? Why did it need wide public articulation to exist? These are not clever questions, but in 1962, when I began this story, in 1965, when it began to be a book, the answers were not as obvious to me as they quickly became and are now. The assertion of racial beauty was not a reaction to the self-mocking, humorous critique of cultural racial foibles common in all groups, but against the damaging, see, right here, internalization of the immutable inferiority originated in an outside gaze. I focused, therefore, on how something as grotesque as the demonization of an entire race could take root inside the most delicate member of society, a child, the most vulnerable member, a female. In trying to dramatize the devastation that even casual racial contempt can cause, I chose a unique situation and not a representative one. The extremities of Pacola's case stemmed largely from a crippled and crippling family. Unlike the average black family, unlike the narrators, but as singular as Pacola's life was, I believe some aspects of her woundability were lodged in all young girls. See this? I believe that some aspects of her woundability were lodged in all young girls. And exploring the social and domestic aggression that could cause a child to literally fall apart. So now, what you were saying about it's a conflict between white women and black women, in my estimation, young lady, is bullshit, my dear. It's intellectually dishonest, even by the author's own words and author's own claim. Take it for what you will. These are Toni Morrison's words. This is the author's words. This is why she wrote the book, which is why The Bluest Eye is named thus. Is because that is the desire of Pacola, the central character to the whole thing. Now, the monstrous things that happened to her and her circumstance was a reflection as Toni Morrison saw, there's bits and pieces of that in all of the black girls, all of them. And when I heard you bring this book up, I recognized it in you when you talked about Maggie. That's why I said what I said. I'm an analyst. I call balls and strikes. I do not put morals on it. I have learned not to put morals on my analytical thought. You said what you said. It came out. That's what I read. And you doubled down on it with this. And then when you double down on with this, then either you did not know what the book meant, or you projected your own thoughts and feelings onto the book, which told me what I needed to know about you and why Maggie is so important to you. Anyhow, that's all I got. It's long enough. I don't need to do an hour. There's other things I could say, so this goes out to the signifying monkey, the signifying alchemist. Alchemy, if you're going to use the name alchemist, which is a Gnostic term, it should be the search for truth, the search for knowing. Go back and read The Alchemist, right? The Alchemist is purifying self first. Purifying self first, that you can go back and you can give that purification to the world. That's what alchemy is all about, right? Even down to the end. How do you turn lead into gold? How do you transmute lead into gold? How do you transmute yourself from a base metal to a precious metal? That's an internal struggle. You can't turn yourself from lead to gold externally. That's what the whole book was about. Go back and read it. Alchemy is an internal process. Even chemistry is an internal process. How do you transmute one chemical from one form to another? Anyhow, yeah, this is BGS out, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.